Hello, I'm Dr. Reinstra Kirchhoff. Most people call me Dr. Arcabe. And I want to give you a little introduction to Chemistry 11530, 11530. This is a virtual lab class to accompany Chemistry 11510, which is the General Chemistry 1 lecture for Purdue. And I'm going to kind of go over a few things to get you started on how to complete our virtual labs for this course. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to share a screen here and just kind of guide you through some of the basic things that you need to know. I may not hit every detail, but I think I will give you the right information to get you started. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And the first thing you're going to want to do is to go over to Brightspace. And when you log into Brightspace, you'll see your course. Now, right now I'm in a developer's course, so you'll see this DEV. That means I'm in developer. So whenever you see that, know that I'm in the developer's course. But in your case, you won't see that. You'll be in our actual class, which will say CHM 11530. Okay. So when you are in that particular class, in your Brightspace class, you'll go to Content. Okay. And on the left here is kind of a navigation bar. And there should be some sort of tab for labs. When you click on that tab for labs, you're going to see some labs. So for example, here I see lab 1 and lab 2. Now, again, this is not exactly what you're going to see. I'm in the developer's screen and so on, but it should be similar. And for each lab that you're going to see, you're going to have two main items on Brightspace. The first one is a lab manual, and the second one is a lab report form. The lab manual will always be a PDF document. The report form will always be a Word document. So you see here for lab 1, we have a lab manual 1 PDF version, lab report form, Word document. Same thing for lab 2. When you click on these, so if I click on lab manual 1, it will open it up in Brightspace. Okay? And I can view it right there on my screen in Brightspace. That's great. I can also click on this little icon here, and it will open it up in a new window if you want to kind of break it out. But you can also click here and click download. And I would recommend that you go ahead and just download that PDF file for the lab. Right? So I'm showing you lab 1. This is the actual PDF of the first lab that you'll do for this course. I'm just using it as an example. All right, and then if I kind of go back here, and I can do the same thing and view the report form. Now, this is a Word document, but it will still show in Brightspace. All right. And again, I can break it out into another window, but I can also download it. And I would recommend that you download it. And when you do have those two files downloaded, I recommend that you create some sort of folder on your computer where you are saving your files for each lab that you do in this class. So I made a folder called Lab 1 Example, and you can see right here I've saved the PDF, and then here I've saved the report. You can see the lab manual is PDF, report form is a Word document. Okay, and of course I could go ahead and open both of those up, and now I don't have to be in Brightspace to work on them. I can just work on them on my computer because I have the files downloaded. So let's take a look at the PDF file here. And to save a little time, I've got it preloaded. So here's the lab 1 PDF. So I'm using a Mac. I'm just using the preview here, and I'm seeing the PDF file. Okay, you can use Adobe Acrobat or whatever software is on your device that will view a PDF file just fine. Okay, and when you are on this lab manual, I want to point out a couple things. The lab manual is going to have the goals of the labs, the learning objective of the lab. It's also going to have some introduction material, often with a lot of information that is worth reading. You might say, oh, I already know some of this, or was this? It may or may not have been covered in your lecture. Labs aren't always perfectly in sync with lecture. They don't always match the exact topics you talk about in class. In fact, technically, Chemistry 11530, this class, is a separate graded class. And so it may not exactly align with your lectures from your lecture part of the class. So when you do that, please do take time to read the introduction. There's a lot of helpful information in there. In fact, you will often find links to videos that we have made. And so these are Purdue videos that we've made specifically for this lab. And so here's a link to a video in YouTube, okay? If you're not paying attention to this lab, you're just going to blow by it and you won't even notice that, oh, there was a helpful video. And many of the videos are going to be very helpful. It really is important that you take time to view the videos when there's a link, which really means digging in, reading the labs, and not missing those links to those videos. So let's go ahead and take a look at what this video is. And so I thought I had this open. Where it is. Here we go. So here is the video that you would see when you go ahead and open that link in Lab 1. And I want to point out a couple of things. This is kind of our first time going through a new format for these labs and really organizing this course. The labs are great. I really think that you're going to learn a lot. Even though they are virtual labs, you're going to say this was quite a cool experience. But I will tell you that some of the videos were in the process of updating. And so please forgive us when a few things don't exactly line up. For example, on this video here, and this go back. This video here, you'll see that it doesn't say Kim 11530, it says 00. That obviously needs to be fixed. Now this does say video 1 and has the right title, but occasionally you'll see something and it'll say like lab 5 and you're really doing lab 7 or something. You'll get it because you'll know the topic of the lab and the videos will be very straightforward. So trust our links and don't always worry if something is slightly off on an introductory page that you see in the video. Also in this, you're going to see that some of these videos were shot during COVID. And so I'll be wearing a mask when I'm doing them. But watch the videos. I'm going to kind of go through and introduce to you a number of things, and the videos are going to be very helpful for understanding the lab, in addition to reading through them. So some labs have 0 or 1 or 2 videos. Some have 6, 7 videos. So please pay attention and make sure you watch all those videos. All right. So with that being said, let's go back and look at that lab report form again, or sorry, the lab manual again. Again, this is the PDF file. So if I'm doing this lab 1, I'm going to go through here. I'm going to watch the video. I'm going to read through the introduction, and then it has some information here. It's got a table of some information. It may have some information on safety, and you say, wait a minute, this is a virtual lab. Why is there something on safety here? Well, we believe that what we're trying to do is teach you what is important to think about when you're thinking about a chemistry experiment. And this particular lab used ethanol, and ethanol has some safety hazards with it. We have worked very hard to make the virtual labs as close to real life as possible. And so because of that, we have chosen to leave in safety information. And it's possible you'll even be asked a question about safety information on the labs. It's there, even though obviously we know you're not in the lab using ethanol. But if you were, we'd want you to have that safety information. Likewise, in some of the labs, the procedure will be similar to the procedure you will do if you were doing the lab in real life, okay, in an actual lab. And so sometimes it may say, hey, do these things. And you're like, why? I don't quite get it. That's because we are telling you the steps that would happen when we do the lab in real life. Okay, so then there will often be a link to a simulation. Not all of the labs have a simulation, but some do. So please watch for that. This lab has a simulation to go with it, and I'm going to show you that right now. So let's go back over here, and that simulation will open up in your web browser. I would recommend Google Chrome, okay? And let's see, here's the simulation. When I come here, I get to this simulation page, and I'll see that I got a couple different tabs. How do I know what to do? Read the lab manual. The lab manual says, hey, go ahead, and it actually wanted me to do this practice reading graduated cylinder first. So I would click on that, and it will bring me to the actual simulation where I have to do a little bit of work here, okay? And we'll come back to this in a second, but I want to just go back to that lab, sorry, here we go. Go back to the lab manual PDF. And again, what I'm doing here is I'm not introducing lab 1. We'll actually have another video recording for lab 1. But I just want to point out, there's a video link, there's a simulation link. And often in our labs, throughout the entire course, labs will have links to videos and or links to simulations. Okay, so that's the PDF version of the lab manual. All right, then there is an accompany lab report form. And remember that lab report form, remember I talked about downloading that from Brightspace. The lab report form is a Word document. So now let's go to Microsoft Word here and look at the report form. And this is what the report form looks like. It's a Word document, which means I can, make whatever edits I want. I can type things into the boxes here. I can put in pictures, et cetera, I can fill in information. If you have a device that has a stylus and you want to go ahead and draw in there, you can draw in there. You can do whatever you want in that Microsoft Word format. This is helpful for you if you like to put all of your answers in one place. If you want to keep yourself organized, this is where you'll also see the questions written out. The questions, activities, or calculations. All of the labs in this course will consist of either having some questions to answer, some calculations to complete, or some activities to do. Okay? And so that's all that information is here in this report form. But here's the thing, you're not actually going to turn in a Microsoft Word report form. So this is helpful. You are welcome to use it. It's a great way to view the questions. And if you like to put in your answers, that's going to be very helpful. But you're not going to upload this file. Instead, you're going to go to Gradescope. And when you go to Gradescope, that's where you're going to enter in your answers to these various questions, calculations, or activities. So now let's go and take a look at how do we get to Gradescope. So again, you're going to go back to Brightspace. Let's go back to Brightspace. Remember in Brightspace, in the contents of the course, there were the labs, and we are looking at lab 1 as an example with its lab manual as a PDF and the report form as a Word document. But there will also be a link to Gradescope. Okay. When I click on Gradescope, it's going to be a link here that will take me to that external tool. Okay. Now, if I click on Gradescope, it will bring me this and show me my courses. Okay. And you can see this is still within Brightspace. If you look up here, you can see it's still within Brightspace. But I can break out of this and break it into its own Gradescope window. Or you can go directly to Gradescope and log in there. So here I'm at Gradescope, and I'm seeing this as if I was a student, and I see, oh, I have a Lab 1 report. Now again, ignore the little DEV here. This is the developer's window. Yours will say the actual course. But you're going to click on the Lab 1 report, all right? And when you click on that Lab 1 report, that's where you're going to be able to submit your answers. You can see right here, this is a status page. Hey, Lab 1, there's been no submission. I have not submitted it yet. When was it released? When is it due? Okay. Now, this is a developer. You don't get 3 weeks and 4 days to do a lab, but you can see that information right here. So I'm going to go ahead, and when I click on this, it's going to bring me to a page where I can submit my answers. And I have a couple different ways to submit my answers. All right. So the first one is I can just simply type something. So this one wants me to type in a number with the correct number of significant figures. I'm supposed to be putting in some answer here. I'm going to make up a nonsense answer, 35.9. Okay. And then all I have to do is hit save answer. And it says, hey, my answer's been saved. Okay. It's that simple. And if I want to know what it is, it's still showing me what I typed. And it shows me exactly when and what time. That's your assurance that that information was saved in there. Now, at this point, your friend calls you up and says, hey, let's go to lunch. You can stop what you're doing, go to lunch, come back later and finish it. And it says, hey, I've got 1 of 11 questions answered in this particular lab. Okay. And the last time I saved it and so on. So this is the information you don't have to do it all in one sitting. Okay. Then there's an activity. Now in this particular one, I'm actually going to give you a little insight into something you're going to do in lab 1, which is that simulation I was showing you where there's this little, sorry, my window is being a pain here. Here we go. Where I have to do this little simulation or answer some questions about reading graduated cylinder. And when I get done, I'm going to get a little score here. And so this is my result. So I did this and I've got a nice score. And now I have to submit if I look at this, Gradescope says, submit a screenshot showing that I completed it. Well, this is my screen showing I completed it. How am I going to do that screenshot? So I want to talk you through this. I use a Mac, so I'm going to first tell you how I do it on a Mac. So I'm going to hit the Command, Control, Shift, 4 key. 4 keys all at once. Command, Control, Shift, 4. And you can see my cursor turns into this little tool that I can drag out a portion of my screen, and that copied it. Okay. Then you can go to Preview. Okay. And you can just say New from Clipboard. And there's the screenshot that I just made. And then I can go to File and I can hit Save. And it'll ask me where do I want to save it. And you can go ahead and save that file to the particular place that you want to save it here. Sorry about that. All right, here. So you can save it. And when you save that file, I actually did another one here. Hit delete. Let's go look here. I saved this. So here's my screenshot right here. Okay. And I did this earlier, so it's a little different than the one I just took now. But there's my screenshot. All right. Now that file, I'm going to want to upload that into Gradescope because I need to give that file as my answer to that question. Now, maybe you want to rename it. So let me look here. If I go back here in Gradescope, what is it asking me to do? It's question 2, activity 1. Q2, activity 1. So maybe what I'm going to do here is in this, so I don't lose track of what I'm doing, I'm going to be kind of organized and say Q2, activity 1. Okay. And there is my nice little file all labeled. Very good. So I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to go ahead and it says select files. So I'm going to go ahead and select that Q2 activity 1 and upload it. All right. And then once it's uploaded, I do have to hit save answer. And it says, okay, you've saved it. Now, you can remove it if you accidentally selected the wrong file, or if later on you realize you made a mistake and you need to upload it. That's a different file. You can do that. You can also hit this little down arrow here, and you can actually see, okay, what did I submit? Okay, good. It's there. It's all good. All right. So now I've done another question. I've very neatly put in a photo here. In this case, a screenshot saved as a JPEG. Okay. Now, if you're doing this on a PC, there's a snipping tool and the steps are similar. You're going to snip out a part of the screen, save it as a JPEG file, name it, and then upload it here into Gradescope. All right. Now, another format that you might use in addition to typing in an answer or uploading a photo, okay, or a screen clip, all right, is maybe there's a table you have to complete. Now, this is not an actual, you can't enter values in here. Instead, you have to complete a table. Now, maybe the best way to do that is to create a table in Microsoft Word, since you have that Word template of the report form, and then you have that there, okay? Now, you have a couple of options with that as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at what some of those options are. So if you're back here in Microsoft Word, and you're at this point here and you say, oh, I'm doing activity 2, and here's the table. So you've put in some values here. I'm just making up some numbers. You've put in the values of this table. You've got a couple of options. You can simply take the table, okay, and copy it this way. Actually, I misspoke. You can take a screen clip of that, same way you did before, and just take a screen clip. And then you can open that screen clip in Preview, save it as a JPEG into your files, and then upload the file into Gradescope. That would work fine. The other thing you can do is you can separate this here, and this was what I was thinking of just a second ago here, and I can go ahead and copy this. And if I want, I can go here and I can say New Document, and I can paste that table in, and then I can go ahead and save this as a PDF file. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Save. I'm going to go ahead and put it here, and I'm going to call this type of plastic, maybe table, and I'm going to go here and select PDF, and I'm going to hit Export, okay? And so now if I go and look at this, I've created a file here, type of plastic table.pdf. And then I decide, yeah, I want to be nice and organized. I really encourage you to be organized. This is Q3 activity 2. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to say this one here and label this Q3 activity 2. Okay. And so now I have a nice PDF and it's my table that I did a screen clip of from Word. Okay. I'm sorry. That was not a screen clip. I could have done a screen clip and kept it as a JPEG, or I made a new page in Word and kept it as a PDF, and now I have a PDF. So the point here is that whichever file format you like, a photo file format such as a JPEG, or a PDF format, it works fine either way when you go to Gradescope. So I'm going to go back here to my browser here, and I'm going to go ahead, and this time I'm going to, since I have it as a PDF, let's go ahead and select the file. Let's select Q3 Activity 2 PDF. Okay. Save the answer. File is there. If I want to get a preview of it, I can click this little down arrow, and there's my result. So now you can see I'm starting to really make progress, and it's not that hard. You'll get used to it, and actually you'll get quite good at using your computer, whether it's a Mac or a PC, at manipulating files and figures and things like this. Okay. You can even do some other clever things. So let's say that there is a calculation you need to do. Okay. Now here's calculation 1, Q5 calculation 1. And I need to show a calculation. Now, I'm not giving away answers. You're going to get a chance to do this lab. But I just want to show you a little bit what I can do here. So I'm going to switch sharing screen to my laptop screen here. Give me a second here to do that. So let's see here. I'm going to have to stop sharing my one screen. So bear with me here. All right, stop sharing my one screen. And then now I'm going to go ahead and share screen here. And on my iPad, this is my iPad screen that you're seeing. And I went ahead and I used my stylus to go ahead and write some calculation answer by hand, because I like to write things by hand. I don't like to type them. It's a pain. I want to write some calculation. There's going to be a number of times throughout the semester here in lab when you're going to want to write answers by hand. And so I did this here on my iPad with the stylus. I'm using GoodNotes here. You can use the regular old-fashioned notes that come with the iPad. You can use Notability. You can use OneNote. You can use whatever note-taking app that you might have on your iPad. Now, in this particular case, I need to get this calculation to something that I can put into Gradescope. And in this particular software, I have a lasso tool, and I'm just going to kind of lasso what I want. Okay. I'm going to click on that, or just kind of tap on it. And then I'm going to just hit take screenshot. And then you can see here, I have a little upload in the upper corner. And when I hit that, then I can airdrop it to my Mac. Okay. I could also just go here and I could copy it, and then I can save it using my iPad, or depending on how you have things set up, you can bring it over to your Mac as the copy and then put in preview and save it as a JPEG and so on. One way or another, you're going to save what you wrote there on your iPad as a little picture file that you're going to upload into Gradescope. So let's go ahead. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here on my iPad. And now I'm going to go back to sharing my screen on my Mac here. And let's go look at those files that I did. And here is a calculation. This is the calculation that I was just showing you. All right. But here's the issue. I didn't label this very well. So I want to make sure I'm organized. I want to make sure that I'm labeling this correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and relabel that. So let's go over here. And this was Q5 calculation 1. So I'm just going to go over here and rename this Q5 calculation 1. All right. And now I want to upload that file. So I just go back to Gradescope, Q5 calculation 1, select file. There it is. open, and save answer. And then you can see here, now I've got my written work. Okay, so that's pretty cool. All right. Now, again, depending on your, some of you have a Microsoft Surface with a stylus, and you can use the built-in feature and write it right in the Word report form, and then save it that way. However it works, you just got to figure out the best way to get that answer in there. Now, what if you don't have a device with a stylus and you still want to do some handwriting? Get out a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil and write your answer on a piece of paper with a pen and pencil. Then use your phone, take a scan or a photo of it, and then upload that photo of your work into Gradescope. So one way or another, either you did it on electronically with your handwriting, or you've written it on a pen and paper, and then you took a photo of it. As long as it's legible, we can read it, we're cool with it. It does not need to be anything super fancy. Okay. Gradescope takes a number, I'm just going to show you this, of file types. They'll take PDF, okay? They'll take JPEG, they'll take PNG, they'll take GIF, and they'll also take this HEIC, which is kind of how iPhones take pictures nowadays. All right. And it gives you quite a bit of space. I think you can put up to 100 megabyte size file in there. So that's so you shouldn't have any issue uploading information into Gradescope. So now you can start to see my lab report is starting to come together. I've got a typed answer, I've got a screenshot, I've got a table that I saved as a PDF file from Word. I've got a calculation that I wrote by hand, and so on. And then there might even be one here where there is not an upload at all because it just wants me to type my answer. Okay. And so you're just going to type your answer there and then hit save. And then you've got that answer typed in. Okay. Now, all of this information goes to your TA, and your TA will grade it. When you're all done with the lab, you're going to hit save all answers and then submit and view submission. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And you can see here's my submission. And notice here we've told you how many points each various activity or question or calculation is worth. Okay. And so I can go ahead here and I can see these. And when your TA grades them, your TA will be awarding you points question by question. And that's how you can get the points. And all of the points for all of our labs in this course total up to 10. All right. So that is how Gradescope works. Let me go ahead here. I think I've shared and explained everything I want to do there. Let me go ahead and stop the sharing, except for this being a bit of a pain. Let's see. Need to get back to Teams and stop sharing here. Okay, stop sharing. Okay, so a couple final thoughts for you. The first one is this does take some time. Look, if you were taking the lab chemistry Gen Chem labs in person, you would expect to spend about 2 to 3 hours, closer to 3 actually, in the lab doing the experiment. And then you would expect to spend anywhere from an hour or 2 or so outside of lab doing the calculations and completing your lab report. So a lab in person can take 2 to 4 or even 5 hours to complete. You have to reserve time to do it. Similarly, the virtual labs in this course also take time. You cannot rush through them. They are not click and point and done, and I got it done in 30 minutes. Many of these labs will take you 2, 3, 4, even 5 hours to complete. You don't need to do them in one sitting. Now, there are some simulations, as we talked about. There are videos to watch. Some of those videos, if there's 6 videos and each one's 5 minutes long, takes you a half hour just to watch the videos. Some of the simulations can take a good 45 minutes, an hour, even longer to complete the simulation. So know that this is not something you can rush through. And then, of course, completing your answers, saving your JPEGs, your PDF files, uploading them into Gradescope also takes a while. So you really need to reserve time is the point I'm trying to make. You cannot 2 hours before the lab is due think, I'll just quick go get it all submitted. It's not going to happen. It's something you need to work on over the course of several days and plan your time out. And if you get stuck, you want to have time to go take advantage of office hours and ask for help. So if you're stuck on something, you're not quite sure what to do, or you don't know how to do a calculation or what, then you definitely are going to need to go to office hours. And so budget your time. Don't save things to the last minute. It is your responsibility at the when everything is done to say, okay, I got this lab done, and I'm not going to say, oh, I did it at the last minute and I ran out of time. Not an excuse. I did it at the last minute, but I didn't know what to do because I didn't understand this one and no one could help me. Too bad. You needed to start earlier. Okay. Oh, I did it at the last minute and the internet died. Too bad. Okay. The internet dying is not a valid excuse. My computer battery died. Not a valid excuse. If you start the lab early and take it step by step over the course of a few days, you will get the lab done, no problem. And if you run into a little issue with the internet, that's fine. Take a break, go do something else. When the internet's back up, you'll be good to go and finish the lab. Okay. And also technology is saying, well, I didn't know how to do something. That's why I make these videos. That's why you can go to office hours. We will help you if you're stuck, but we can't help you if you're stuck and it's the very last minute. Okay, with that, I think you're going to really enjoy these labs. I think you will learn a lot. And what you will be doing now will be doing Lab 0. You will be doing Lab 0, and Lab 0 is actually quite straightforward. It's not very hard, and Lab 0 is just meant to give you a chance to try this process out, going to Brightspace, finding the lab manual as a PDF file, finding the report form as a Word file, finding and getting into Gradescope and uploading your answers. Okay, so with that, I hope you really enjoy this course. Thank you.